Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, all you weirdos. Jim here, and we have a bit of breaking news. It's not really breaking news. It would have been more breaking news if I would have actually gotten off my duff and actually made a video this morning, because the guy that I get all the juicy gossip and rumors from actually got a hold of me and said, hey, this is coming down the pike. This is breaking news. The idea that Joshua Williamson is leaving both the Batman and Robin books and the Green Arrow book. Ended up telling me very, very early about that. I ended up doing a couple other things. You know, I had some breakfast, then I went and mowed the lawn, and then when I came in, it looked like Bleeding Cool had beaten me to the punch. And so it could have been a little more breaking on my side of things, right? But it's still breaking news because it's brand new. Now, to lead into this item, and it ended up throughout the day, things got more and more where people were putting some of the puzzle pieces together and realizing there was more going on than just Joshua Williamson. But it already started before, because as most of you should know, we already have Ram V leaving Detective Comics in September. We already have Tom Taylor leaving the Nightwing book in September. All these things were going, and I have been saying for almost a year now that DC, it looked like something big was hitting around September, October. It looks like it might be October now, the way that Absolute Power lines up. But the big thing I thought was, DC is very scared. And people always say, oh, DC has rebooted 18 times in the last 10 minutes. And it's not quite that. They end up, they'll change some imprints, they'll say some things. But one of the things that DC is fully afraid of, even going back to the New 52, is a full-out 100% cross-the-board reboot. They don't like to do that. They really don't like to say the word reboot anymore. That's where you got, say, a rebirth, things like that. So with all of that, they need to do something. They need to change something. They need to get the spark back. And instead of a reboot, I think that what they are doing, and I've said this before, is a kind of a status quo change coming out of Absolute Power. And the best way to get people into the books, maybe grabbing some books, is to have a lot of new number ones. And maybe this is the way to do it with new creative teams, with things, because there's going to be a lot of new creative teams. Now, as we go through this video, I may mention some creative teams that I would like on these books, but I would really love to hear what people would want from, say, a Nightwing. Who would you want to do Nightwing? Who would you want to have on Detective Comics? And then as we go, we're going to find out that Batman and Robin, Green Arrow, Catwoman, and Harley Quinn will be changing creative teams. Really, Batman and Robin and Green Arrow, that's set. They're going to continue. Harley Quinn and Catwoman, those books are going to go on hiatus. I'm assuming they're going to come back, but we can discuss who would we want on all of those, as I said in the comments below. Now, the big thing, though, is Joshua Williamson. It looked like the Batman and Robin solicit for issue number 13 in September. It really did feel like an ending, maybe, to the series. It definitely is the ending of an arc, but then it comes out that Joshua Williamson is actually leaving the book after that issue. But on his Substack newsletter, he did say the book will continue. There'll be another new creative team. The same with after he ends his Green Arrow run at issue number 17. Somebody will take that over. Somebody will end up continuing that. And what he ended up, and I do believe he's also doing an annual, 2024 annual as well, that will actually officially end his run on Green Arrow in that book. Now, he ended up in his Substack newsletter where he was explaining why he's leaving this. And if you are reading more than just DC, you'll know that Joshua Williamson is writing a lot of books. I mean, he's writing a lot of DC, but he also has the Energon stuff. He also has his Dark Ride book. He has all these things going on, and probably even more. I mean, he is writing a ton of books, and he actually said that he's burned out. He did a lot of things. He was the quote-unquote DC architect. He ended up doing the Dark Crisis that then became the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths in a kind of a funny way. Now, when he says that he's burned out, he did actually mention that he doesn't feel like he's being able to write as well as he wants to, and that some of the books are kind of faltering because of that. I do believe he's talking about Batman and Robin and Green Arrow. So it makes sense that he'd stop those. Those two, and if you like them, God bless you. I do like the way that he writes Damian Wayne Robin, but boy, that book is just paper thin. You have a lot of things thudding. You have a lot of things that aren't set up that then end up being a thing and then end in wonky ways. And even the Green Arrow book, which I do see a lot of people liking, it has been wacky. You end up having that first 6 issues, and it was just going to be that first 6 issues. The hunt for Oliver Queen. They ended up finding him, and then you get the explanation that he was kind of lost in time and the family was separated because Merlin ended up getting time traveling and multi-dimensional tech from Amanda Waller and then that. And then even after that, then you got the hunt for Roy Harper, but Roy's ending up with the Suicide Squad, but then he isn't. And then they end up in another dimension again to fight Merlin. It's been wacky. It really has been wacky. And in both of those books, I did coin a phrase. And if you are familiar with those books, I hope this makes you giggle. Because it's one of those things that when you go through the book, you get confusing explanations that'll make you shrug, but then he tries to make it better with a hug. Because every time something ends in a confusing way, all of a sudden the characters are reuniting because it felt so good, and they're hugging it out, bitch. They're doing all that stuff. So I said he goes shrugs to hugs almost every issue in that run. And it's infuriating. And it actually is something where I'm glad that he is kind of stepping back and looking and saying, yeah, I'm not really being able to give my all. Maybe these stories are all running together. He has a lot going on. Speaking of which, though, because I am kind of dissing him on this Batman and Robin and Green Arrow stuff, that Duke book that he wrote for the Energon universe, the G.I. Joe Duke book, is at this moment my book of the year. I'll tell you right now, if things don't change by the end of the year, Duke is my book of the year. So it's not like he doesn't have it or he can't write something good. That seemed like something that he was very passionate about, something that meant a lot to him. A lot of these others, especially, I hate to say it, that Batman and Robin book, they just seem to be like paychecks. They seem to be. And the Batman and Robin book, it started out in a weird place anyway. It started out during Gotham War, but then really didn't tie well into Gotham War and seemed like that was just a book that DC itself said, we need a Batman and Robin book. It doesn't matter. We're shoving it out there. And it really hasn't done a lot. So with a change of creative teams, maybe that will, get somebody going there. Now, if you ask me who I would want on a Batman and Robin, now this might not be possible. It looks like maybe Jeff Lemire is no longer exclusive at Image. I see he's coming out with a new Boom title, so maybe, but I'd like to have him on the Batman and Robin book. And somebody who I would want to write Green Arrow, 100%, is Jeremy Adams. I would love to have him do the Green Arrow family. He's great with families. And him doing the Green Lantern book already, we can have a bit of the Hard Traveling Heroes crossover, something like that I think would be really, really cool. And in the meantime, again, the other part of this, I'm thinking Catwoman fans are dancing in the streets since this was kind of announced that Tini Howard is leaving both the Catwoman book and it seems the Harley Quinn book. When the solicits came out for September, it did have a solicit for Catwoman that seemed like the end of an arc. But then in the DC Connect magazine, it did say Tini Howard's final issue. And then she went on Substack and said, yeah, I'm going to be off those books. They are going to go on hiatus. At the moment, or at least at that point, it looks like Leah Williams has her Gotham City Sirens book coming out. And while that's going on, they're going to put the Catwoman and the Harley aside, which makes me worried that when that Gotham City Sirens is done, because I believe that is just 4 issues in the month of maybe August or something like that, that when that's done, Leah Williams will have a couple more books at DC. At least Catwoman, maybe Catwoman and Harley Quinn. I could see that happening. I don't think that'll be great, and I think it'll continue the dark days for the Catwoman fans, and I'm one of them, because the Tini Howard stuff was, as the French say, hot garbage. That's what I think they say. I've heard some French people say that. I say that I think it might be Pepe Le Pew. That's about the only French person I know, but I don't really look forward to Leah Williams on any other book. Even this week, I was arguing with somebody on YouTube about the idea of how this person thinks that Leah Williams' Power Girl is the greatest book ever. And I just asked them what it was like to be wrong. That's what I said. But everybody gets their own opinions. I'm just joking with that. But again, with all of this, the big news, and I'm having problems breathing now. I was laughing at myself. I shouldn't do that. Joshua Williamson leaving both Batman and Robin, that at issue 13, and also Green Arrow at issue 17, and the 2024 annual. He'll be off those books. No word if he'd be off the Superman book. By then, the Action Comics goes off to Gail Simone, and that'll continue those creative team changes as you get an arc and an arc and an arc. So he'll be on the Superman book. We'll see if he's on anything new. This could be like a weird switcheroo, like all of a sudden, oh, he's off there because he's on Nightwing, or oh, he's going to be on Detective. Maybe. I don't know, because we still don't know what's going on with those books going forward. But I'd love to hear what everybody has to say about what creative teams you would want on some of these books. Or even if you think Batman and Robin, Green Arrow, Harley, Catwoman, if they should just end. I'd say it, and I know that people get all upset. I'm a Harley Quinn fan. I do like Harley Quinn comics. I haven't in a while. And I do think that Harley Quinn is a character that you can overdo, and they have. And I think that one of the things that Harley Quinn should do is go away for about a year, maybe a half a year, at least half a year. But I would say a year. Just have her go away. No solo book. First off, wait to see who could jump on. Maybe wait for a big writer to do that. But in the meantime, you kind of need to maybe get people wanting Harley to come back instead of them being sick of her being around. You got to make her, you got to get that deal going where, oh man, I wish there was a Harley book. We haven't had a Harley book in a year. Man, I'd like to have a Harley book, because it just ends up, it's diminishing returns and has been for quite some time. And while the character isn't the most serious of characters, she has become a complete joke. And I often say, one of my things that I always think is a hot take is she has been written in the past years or whatever as a caricature, not a character. And I think that she is definitely a good character if you write her well. But that is the end of my rambling. But the big take, too, again, besides all the other things, is that DC's doing something. DC is changing some things up September, October. I do think it's going to be from the, whatever happens, the status quo change of the Absolute Power, which unfortunately doesn't seem to be a big hit at this moment. I'll be reading and reviewing it. I'll have the reviews all over the place. So you can end up maybe even like on YouTube, on our podcast, and possibly like an abandoned mall in your town. You just come there. I'll be sitting in there. I'll be doing the reviews like Tiffany used to do back in the day, singing songs in the malls. Not Debbie Gibson. She is too classy. I'm more of a Tiffany. I'm kind of a lower deal there. R.I.P. I was going to say R.I.P. Tiffany. She isn't dead, but R.I.P. Tiffany's career, I guess. But that is that. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you are enjoying some things or wondering what's coming up or any of that sort of thing, I'm planning on doing a full DC Comics Solicits podcast. That'll probably come out on Tuesday. That would be June 18th. If you have a calendar available, as I'm recording it, it is tomorrow by 3 minutes because it's almost the witching hour. It's almost midnight. So I'm going to get out of here. Thanks, all you weirdos. Thanks for listening. Thanks for dealing with my rambling on heel, just like Robert Plant. But I am done. Thanks, everyone, and I'll talk to you all later.
Weird science is the revolution.
Hey, all you weirdos. If you like comic book shows, podcasts, videos, please check the description of this video where you can see links to all of our podcast shows, websites, all of that. And if you want to help us out for everything that we do, you can click on that Patreon link in the upper left-hand corner and check out our Patreon, where you can go right now and get a 7-day free trial to see all the stuff that we do, shows that are Marvel, DC, indie, manga, and even more. So check all that out, and I'll talk to you all later.
Weird science is the revolution.